Hello and welcome all the Umpire trainees. This is Umpire James. Thank you for listening to this training. What I'm going to be doing is taking you on a step-by-step process for how to resolve a turn. I'm going to show you how to do it, how to work TTS, and give you some um, pointers for both combat resolution and TTS management, as well as everything you need to do to resolve a turn. Hopefully this will answer any questions you might have and basically illustrate how to do it. I'm working through my steps to resolving a turn guide. I'm going to just go through that one by one and make sure I got it right. So, first thing to do is post a new time and date in all the relevant channels. So, let's start by opening the right category. So, we're in the veteran game here. And so, the first thing I do is I just update this turn in time. So we're doing 20 minutes turns. I already just did this one, but basically if you were doing this next turn, you just type turn 2, 0900. And then if you, one trick is if you can hit control, you select it and hit control B and control U, that bolds it and underlines it. And if you copy it before you hit enter, you can save that like that. And then when you go to the next channel, it keeps that formatting, so it's a little trick just to make life easy. But you're going to post that on all 6 channels, so the update channel, planning, dispatches for both teams, and then you might as well, sometimes I forget, but you might as well um, post it in the AAR channel as well, so post it there. So that just gets you started. Then you want to open the module in TTS. So on the Umpire Academy channel or category, there's a module channel. I just posted mine, but if you actually, what happens if I click mine own? Okay, so if you click it, it takes you to Steam, and I'm already subscribed because it's mine. But if I wasn't subscribed, then you would click subscribe. You got to make sure you're logged into Steam. Uh, Click subscribe, and then once you are subscribed, when you go into TTS, let me get out of this just in case you've never been before, because TTS can be wonky. So when you first open TTS, you get this main page. You're going to go to Create, Single Player, and then you'll get this. And if you have past games, they'll show up here. But if it's a workshop game you've not loaded yet, it should be the first thing that shows up here if you just subscribed to it. And so you will click that game, and it'll open it up. I'm not going to, actually, I don't think it'll hurt if I do it. So I'm loading that game. Now it's loaded. All right, so you're in the game, and I recommend, sorry, I want to make sure I'm working through the list at the same time. Okay, so you got this open. Let me do a very quick tutorial on TTS. So if you hold down the right mouse, you can change your view like that. And if you do WASD, that moves you around the board. And if you scroll in and out with your mouse zoom wheel, that brings you in and out. So you kind of get used to it. We'll talk about moving pieces in a second. But okay, so I got it open. Now you probably want to save your own version just in case. So to save, you click Games, Save and Load, and then Save Game, and you'll want to give it a name, and then click Save, and it'll save it. And you can organize with folders and things like that, but save the game. Okay. So now the game's open. This is the last save state, and you want to read the orders that were given. So we go back to veteran, so red vet dispatches. These are all the orders that they gave, and so what you're going to do is just read this. And I've got 2 screens, so normally I'm not showing it on the same one, but I'm reading it and then I'm working through it as I read it, and basically doing what it says. And then so you do. Usually I do red first as the defenders, and then I do blue. Sometimes you got to go back and forth, just kind of see how they interact, but Basically, read the orders, and the way I do it is as I read the orders. Let's say he's ordering First Brigade to do something. I make the movements as much as I can as it's ordered. Now, if there's going to be combat and stuff, then I resolve that and finish it. But I try to make movements as best I can. Sometimes, when I first started umpiring, I actually used arrows to help myself. So let me pick a color. I don't know why it's not letting me pick red. So let me. So if it's helpful to you, so you can pick a color like this, hit minus or plus to change the size of it because you probably want it small. And let's say his orders for red are to move northwest to Hundam. And if you just want to keep that straight, just draw an arrow, something like that, just to remind you. Um, yeah, that's one way to do it. This is an eraser, so if you select over it, you can erase. You can also do that and erase everything that's drawn. But like when I process, if he says First Brigade to Hundam, then I might just move it. But we'll get into that. Okay. So read all the orders, move the pieces according to the orders, and then resolve combat. So let's talk about moving pieces in case you've not done it before. So you can, straightforward, you can grab a piece and just move it. That's not a problem. Now there's a scale on this. This is a mile here, this ruler. But you can also hold down tab and measure. So 10 grids is 1 mile. You got to make sure your TTS should be set to grid, but it might not be. So if you go down to this line thing, and if it says inch, centimeter, you just got to click it till it goes to grid, and then it'll be the same setting that I have. And then 10 grids is 1 mile, or 1 grid is 1/10 of a mile. And so you can just hold down tab and measure. You can also pick up a unit, hold down tab, and measure as it goes. That's pretty useful. So I'm not going to go through all the rules, but I'll be very brief. So let's just take the 2nd Light Infantry right here, for example. Let's say they're ordered to go down the road in column formation. So these pieces, they have, you can click form line, form square, column, and assault column. So they're marching, so I'm going to do column, and those little arrows just show that when it's in line formation, it's only this wide, and when it's in column, of course, it's a lot thinner, so it stretches 1.5 tenths of a mile. So let's say they're ordered to go down the road in marching. They're already in marching column. They're told to go down the road. We're doing 20-minute turns, and in a 20-minute turn in my rules, basically they'll go a mile. So they're going 3 miles an hour, which is a okay pace for a whole bunch of men. So that's about half a mile, and then I'm going to measure again, and that's another half a mile roughly. So it's not exact science. So half a mile, they just moved a mile south. If that was their orders, I would have moved them, and they're done. Let's say they're ordered to go off-road. Let's say they're here and they're told to go east off-road for whatever reason. If it's off-road, then you just half the speed. So now it's going half a mile, so they got about that far. Now let's say they're going off-road and through the woods, so it halves again. So now let's say they start here. They're just going to, oops. Sometimes it does that. They're going to go a quarter mile, so 2.5. That's as far as they go. Now let's say they're in line formation because they're expecting to fight soon. Then it's halved again, so instead of a 2.5, now it's 1.75, so something like that is about as far as they go, roughly. And then if woods would slow them, crossing a stream, like these streams aren't that big, but it would slow them a little bit, so take that into account. If there's any particularly large hills that are going up or down, that might slow them, so those are things to take into account. Cavalry, generally the rule for cavalry is it goes twice as fast. And the lighter cavalry, like hussars, will go a little bit faster than like the heavy cavalry. That's it for movement. Now let's talk about combat. I don't have any combat happening yet, but let's just do some really straightforward combat just as an example. And then hopefully the rules, and you can ask questions. So let's say these two units are facing each other. They're less than a tenth of a mile apart. So 0.7 miles is, I always forget, 0.7 miles in, let's do yards. That's 12, no, not 0.7, 0.07. 123 yards. That's a decent distance for shooting at each other in Napoleonics. Maximum is like 200, so not quite the max, but not super close either. So you'll see I put these smoke icons to denote that they're firing at each other. And you can, if you Control C and then Control V, you can make all sorts of copies. You can also select all and move all at once, or in this case, delete. So now they're firing at each other, and this is a straight up fight. Let's say I'm going to put them on a hill just for fun. So they're shooting. This is Grenadiers shooting at them, them shooting them. I usually roll two at the same time. You select both and hit R, and it rolls the dice until you stop. Okay, this is good. So let me grab a morale token. So all the units on here, even though I don't have it on there, and maybe I should, is they're all walking around with a 2 morale at the moment. So I'm not showing it, but they're all 2s. A 6 is 2 disruption per my rules. Now they're on a hill, so that's -1. So the 6 turns to 5. And in this case, it doesn't make a difference because both a 5 and a 6 are 2 disruption. So the Grenadiers shooting at them, they take 2 disruption, so that 2 becomes a 4. And I changed that. You can either change the state here and click 2 and 4. But the faster way is if you hover over it and just click the number on your keyboard, it'll change it. So 2 becomes a 4. And then they're shooting back, and they rolled a 4. So a 3 or a 4 is 1 disruption. And so that they just turned into a 3. And that's it. That combat's done. Let's say the Grenadiers were in the woods. Oops. Then that 4 would become a 3 because they got the defenses of the trees. If the light infantry happened to be basically in the town, using the town for defenses, that would be a -1 advantage for them. That's the basics of combat. Now, if the Grenadiers, let's say the Grenadiers are ordering a bayonet charge. The way you do that is the second light get to shoot at them first. So I'm going to roll for them shooting at them. That's a 4. So that's 1 disruption. And that's just to see, they kind of give a defender advantage and to see if the attack can be repulsed before it even reaches them. But they shot a 4. And actually light infantry, they get +1 on their ranged shots. So that 4 becomes a 5. So that's actually additional disruption. But it's not enough to repulse the Grenadiers. So now the Grenadiers hit them. And when it's melee combat, then you roll double the dice. And Grenadiers get... Oh, I gotta check my own rules. It's either +1 or +2. I think it's +2 to bayonet charge because they're Grenadiers. And actually light infantry get -1 for that. So I'm going to roll. So Grenadiers get +2 to their attack, so that 3 becomes a 5 and a 5 becomes a 6. And then their attack back is -1. So that's 4 disruption total, 2 from this one, 2 from this one. So that 4 becomes a 6, or it's broken basically. And then they take 1 disruption. And they're already at 5, so that actually breaks them as well. And when they take disruption, then they get damage to represent casualties. And if they reform and come back, that damage will be a penalty. So they broke them. In this case, both sides are disengaging because the Grenadiers got shot up on their way in, and that's how that worked out. I'm not going to go through every iteration of my rules. It's in the rules, but that's the basics of how it works. So you'll make movements according to the orders, and then whoever is in range of each other for shooting, you'll resolve combat unit by unit. And then once the combat's resolved, there may be a little bit more unit or movement. So you noticed, for example, I had them fight, and then to show basically that they're broken and disengaging, I move them off a distance. So you kind of just have to see what the orders are and what makes sense. Like if the cavalry was charging here and broke through the light infantry, and let's say they broke through them very easily, well, they only moved, um, 4/10 of a mile, and so if they broke through them, well, they'd probably keep chasing them down. Um, but maybe like one unit could like continue on to there if that was their orders or something like that. So there can be, after you do combat, sometimes there's additional movement. Okay, let me go back to my sheet. So resolve combat, add the smoke tokens. I like adding the smoke too, wherever there's fighting to kind of show the gun smoke and the haze in the field. And then post screenshots. So hopefully, most computers have a screenshot tool. So where's the HQ? Well, okay, we'll go with Red HQ. So my snipping tool is being annoying. Hold on. All right, here we go. So my snipping tool looks like this. You can change it to rectangle or freeform. Normally you want it freeform. And so you want to zoom in to get as much detail as you can, and then look at where the red HQ is, and then you're going to want to go out like a mile, maybe a little bit more than a mile. But so red HQ is in the town right now, and there's some hills around it. So I'm going to draw their view kind of based on that hill. It's a little bit limited by the trees. I'm mostly just using the hills around the town as a guide. So that's their screenshot for this turn. So I copy that into their channel. The screenshots are representation of what they see and what they know from the past 20 minutes. So again, you can give it, actually I didn't give them a mile, I gave them like 3/10 of a mile, but they're not going to be able to see over the hills. Now if they had units, for example, if they had 2nd Brigade on the hill here, relaying reports of what they see, even though they wouldn't physically see, I'd probably, in that case, I'd give a screenshot that includes part of what 2nd Brigade can see, so it may actually be more generous or something like that. That's kind of a gut call you got to see, but if it's unhindered by hills or smoke or trees, they could see a mile to even out to 3 miles. But in most cases, if it's a hilly terrain, so if they like came out on a hill, where's a good hill spot? Like over here is a nice tall hill. If they came here, they would see quite a good distance. But if they're like down in a valley inside a town, they're not going to see over this ridge. So take that into account as you do screenshots. So the screenshots get posted into their channel, and then you're going to write a description of what happened in the last 20 minutes. And so basically describe what they can see, what they can hear. If there's fighting happening, what direction is it coming from? Do they hear musket fire or artillery fire? And then for units that aren't within their view, it's important to also simulate the reports that they're receiving from them. So in this first turn, the red HQ, they couldn't see them because they're not near, they're, how far away are they? A mile away. But 1st Brigade is at Strauss and has spotted blue cavalry. So I wrote in the update that a courier arrived from 1st Brigade and details what they saw, 2 squadrons of hussars coming from the west. So you want to do that. I also had one written by the Cav, the SARS of what they saw, but they're really far away because if you think about that courier has to go, they came up this road, so who knows how far he'd have to go. But even if he went on this a little bit more direct route, he's got to go 2 miles here, and then another, it's about 4 miles to get to the HQ. And so I decided it wouldn't arrive in time. And so I wrote it on this notepad, so the person who goes after me, hopefully they notice this, but they need to deliver this note in the update. Actually, I need to, so if you right-click it, you can, written 850. Yeah, I misspelled written. Okay. Yeah, so I wrote the notepad. Um, Normally, if the units are closer to the HQ, that's not an issue, but in that case, it is. All right, so you post the screenshots for both teams. You write an update of what happened, and then you save the module. So again, to save, you hit Games, Save and Load. And if you've already saved it, then you can overwrite it. So you find that game, you go to Options, Overwrite, and I'm not going to do it here because this isn't right anymore. But overwrite, and then it'll save it if you've already saved it. And then you got to make a module. So you need some kind of picture to go with it. It doesn't matter really what the picture is, but you click Modding and then Workshop Upload. And if it's the first time, then you'll give it a name, and you have to give it a thumbnail, and then click Upload, and it'll create um, a new workshop. If you already had one previously, you can also update, and you can find past workshops and just click on it and tell it to update. But once you update it, you have to go into Steam. So you go into your Tabletop Simulator game and go to Workshop and click on Your Workshop Files, and then find the game that should be there now since you just uploaded it. And you have to change the visibility. When it first starts, it starts as hidden, which means no one can open it or access it. And you have to oh shoot, what just happened? Click something. You want it to go to unlisted, which means it's not publicly available. The players aren't going to find it, but then you can share it. So you click Share, make a copy of that link, and then post the link into the modules channel here. Just post that there, and then it's available for the next umpire coming after you. Once that's done, then you do a screenshot of the whole game, encompassing everything that's going on, like I did here. Post that in the after action report channel, and then write a description of everything that occurred, including your thoughts and advice and suggestions. This is this is a summary for the spectators, as well as the players are going to see it when the game's over, and so it's basically a good record of your thoughts and what your thoughts, your advice, what was going on at the time, basically everything you want to write down. All right, and then finally, you want to update the deadlines. So go to I haven't done this yet, so we can do this. Go to the deadline channel. You want to go, there's a website called hammertime.cu.en, and this website is useful. What time is it? It's the 10th. I think the next deadline is the 7th. So you pick a time. This is your time, and then there's different formats, but you can make a copy. So now turn to 0900 orders are due. Get the other one. I like doing both. So that's it. Those orders that for that time or that time hit enter, and now automatically adjust for your time zone and their time zone. Okay. So once you've posted the deadline, oh yeah, the website's in there, and then answer. You're basically done. And then some players sometimes they'll have questions. Maybe something wasn't clear. Maybe you missed something. Just pay attention to their channel and be available to answer questions as best you can. And that is the game in a nutshell, or how to do a resolution. I hope that was helpful. I'm sure I forgot some things and some things were unclear, so do not hesitate to ask in the discussion room. That's what it's for, or I guess the questions room really. That's what it's for, is to help you out. So good luck. I hope you have fun and have joy in umpiring your first Kriegsspiel game?